a name that recently sent shockwaves through the nation.
The story began with a young woman in Pennsylvania accused of murder. 19-year-old Miranda Barbour was arrested while her husband, Eli, protested her innocence.
In a chilling confession, Miranda revealed herself as a serial killer, admitting to stopping her count at a horrifying 22 victims.
Okay, alright. Well, first go back to this. So you're saying you don't know how many times?
No, I don't.
If you had to take a guess.
If I had to take a guess, under 100?
Under 100? Okay, that's hard. That's going to be very hard for people to believe.
Mhm. Yeah, and I know that by saying this, it's everything that I've told my lawyer, he doesn't believe me.
But how did this seemingly ordinary woman become entangled in a web of murder and deceit? Miranda's story is as tragic as it is perplexing. Recent revelations have left the nation in disbelief, questioning the authenticity of Miranda's claims and the motivations behind her confessions. As we delve into the details of her life, we encounter a tale of psychological turmoil, coping mechanisms, and a blurred line between victimhood and perpetration.
I do not believe that this was malicious whatsoever. I believe that she was attacked and that under those circumstances she took the necessary measures to defend herself.
But then both Eli and Miranda confessed to carrying out the killing, telling police they'd wanted to murder someone together. They'd lured 42-year-old Troy LaFerrara to a meeting place through the small ads website Craigslist. The couple say Miranda stabbed him repeatedly while her husband held a cord around his neck. But according to Miranda, he was only one of many of her victims. In a prison cell interview, she told a local journalist since the age of 13 she's killed at least 22 people from Alaska to North Carolina as a member of a satanic cult.
You know, you can take all of everything else that she said in the interview, and you can take all of the numbers that she threw around and all of that out. But the more surprising thing to me would be the fact that she said that if she got out, she would do it again.
The claims could be the prison cell ravings of a young woman whose lawyers may plead insanity to avoid the death sentence, or America's latest serial killer may have revealed herself. Police say they're taking Miranda Barbour's claims seriously, and the FBI are investigating.
The shocking murder of Troy LaFerrara becomes the focal point, exposing not only a crime motivated by financial gain, but also a motive that appears inexplicably random.
We didn't do it the way that we did it because we're stupid. We both wanted to get caught because it was getting out of control. And
what was getting out of control?
This is not the first time, but I'm here. I honestly don't want to get out of prison. I would rather take this opportunity and be honest with everything I've ever done and get help for what is wrong with me, because I don't want to sit there and do that and just keep doing it because I'm not okay with that.
Okay, again, this is a recorded line.
Mm-hmm.
You do know that.
Yes.
Are you saying that you have killed before?
Yes.
Miranda's confessions raise more questions than answers, prompting investigators to scrutinize her past. Was she truly a serial killer? Or was this a meticulously crafted facade to grasp the attention she so desperately sought? Miranda Barbour, born on December 14, 1994 in North Pole, Alaska, gained notoriety after confessing to being a serial killer.
But I've told him if you give me a map, I can pinpoint a lot of them that you'll find.
You're saying there's still people out there? As far as they never found these people?
Yes.
Well, Miranda, I have to ask you, what led you to do any of this?
There's an entire different part of me that I don't understand.
Is this the satanic stuff?
That brought me to do? No.
Yeah.
I got into Satanism because I felt like it leads me to control what's inside of me and use it to, I don't know. just control it.
Her life unfolded against a backdrop of tragedy, abuse, and a descent into criminality. Miranda's early years were marred by a diagnosis of developmental dysplasia, which required her to wear leg braces. Miranda Barbour's abuse occurred when she was just 3 years old, inflicted by her uncle Richard. Richard, who was the husband of Miranda's mother Elizabeth's sister, subjected Miranda and her older sister Ashley to horrific forms of sexual abuse whenever they were left alone with him.
Was something done wrong to you as a child?
Yeah. I mean, I was molested.
You were a kid.
I don't feel
No,
anything.
you're growing up fast. You're growing up
Very
fast.
I mean, me and my sister, we were both molested when we were I was 4, but
By who?
my uncle, my mom's sister's husband.
So you went through some traumatic experiences yourself.
Oh yeah. I mean, since I turned 12, my entire life flipped upside down when I turned 12.
The abuse by Uncle Richard was a deeply disturbing chapter in Miranda's early life. It continued for months, with the details being too gruesome to discuss. The girls were coerced into silence through fear. The intergenerational trauma inflicted by Uncle Richard's abuse became a haunting specter in Miranda's life. The scars of that dark period would contribute to her troubled adolescence, marked by rebellion, substance abuse, and involvement in dangerous activities. As Miranda struggled to cope with the aftermath of the abuse, her life took a tumultuous turn.
As far as this forest that we've been hearing about, who is that?
He is he's not the leader of the group that I was a part of, but he is one of the main people in it. I had nothing to do with his death. I do know all about it, but I had nothing to do with it intentionally.
Miranda, I got to tell you, I mean, you're an 19-year-old girl, and how do you do this? Is this all through? You did this all through Craigslist every time?
No.
How was this done?
It was more of it wasn't just me. It was very rarely just me. It was a lot. I was the person who went out and found people and lured them in.
Seeking solace and identity, she became entangled with a satanic cult led by a man named Forrest during her teenage years. The trauma continued to shape Miranda's adolescence, leading her into a troubled and tumultuous lifestyle. She joined a gang with ties to Satanism, experimented with dangerous substances, and engaged in risky behaviors.
When I heard Miranda was arrested for murder, the first thing I thought was they were making a mistake. As soon as I heard she was arrested, I started Googling, and that's when I read all the details about how she did it. I didn't want to believe that she murdered somebody and stabbed him over 20 times.
Her struggles with mental health were compounded by diagnoses of depression, ADHD, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder, leading to a cycle of self-harm and suicide attempts. Miranda's life took a dark turn when, at the age of 17, she met Elliot Barbour in North Carolina.
PA.
Yeah.
Me and my husband, we met each other. He knows everything about me. He knows everything I've ever done. And the more that I would talk about what I'd done, and the more that I would show him what's inside of me, the more he was intrigued. He wanted to understand. He wanted to be a part of it. And we always said that before we died, we would do it together.
They formed a tumultuous relationship marked by illegal activities, substance abuse, and a shared interest in Satanism. Miranda's life story is one of immense tragedy, trauma, and a descent into criminality that culminated in her becoming a confessed murderer. Her confessions, filled with claims of being a serial killer since the age of 12, have sparked widespread attention and disbelief.
Correct. I'm going to do everything I said. Could you say the states again? You said Texas, California,
Texas, California,
Alaska.
Majority of the things that I have done is in Alaska.
What town?
Palmer, Wasilla, Big Lake, Anchorage, Nome.
And you're saying that at no point were you a suspect in any of those?
Nope. I've been in and out of treatment facilities my whole, since I was 12. And I had a completely different side of my life that nobody even knew about.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Prompting questions about the authenticity of her statements and the complex interplay of trauma and criminality in her life. Miranda Barbour and her husband Elliot Barbour planned the murder of Troy LaFerrara meticulously.
At first it was a random draw, a random pick. I did not make the post on Craigslist. I answered to his post. And it was random at first until he got in my car and he said, "Are you sure you're 18?" And I said, "No. I actually just turned 16. But it's okay because I have an ID, so if I get pulled over, it says I'm 18. He said, "Oh, well that's okay. You wouldn't be my first." So that kind of just locked it in for me.
Miranda and Elliot placed a deceptive advertisement on Craigslist offering female companionship in exchange for money. This ad served as a trap to lure potential victims. Troy LaFerrara responded to the Craigslist ad, expressing interest in meeting with Miranda. The meeting was arranged to take place in a shopping mall parking lot. Prior to the meeting, Elliot hid under a blanket in the back seat of Miranda's car, remaining out of sight from Troy. Once Troy was inside the car, Miranda used a prearranged code sentence. "Have you seen the stars tonight?" This served as a signal for Elliot to emerge from his hiding place. Responding to the signal, Elliot launched a surprise attack on Troy from behind the car seat, grabbing him and initiating the assault.
I'm in the back seat, covered up by a blanket. And she's in the front. He gets in the car. I'm probably around 8. So I pop up with that quarter jaw found on the body. That was me.
Where do you have that cable at? Just right around his body? Around the throat? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, good. It was pretty good.
The same.
In between the headpiece and the bottom is where I tried to angle it up underneath it. I put my feet up against the back and pulled as hard as I could. She said she stabbed him in the groin. I think she said she stabbed him in the leg, and the majority was to the chest. She did say she stabbed him in the neck and it went through.
I stabbed him once and it didn't do anything. And I stabbed him again and it didn't do anything. It was still being continued. There was nothing that changed. There's just blood. Like a horror scene in my car.
Miranda actively participated in the attack. During the assault, Elliot strangled Troy with a TV cable, and Miranda attacked him with a knife, stabbing him multiple times. The violent acts were intended to incapacitate and ultimately lead to Troy's death. Following the murder, Miranda and Elliot stole $150 from Troy's wallet before disposing of his body in a narrow alleyway. To cover their tracks, Miranda and Elliot went to Walmart to purchase cleaning supplies, intending to erase any evidence from their car. They then proceeded to have dinner, using the stolen money, creating an alibi for the time of the crime. The entire plan demonstrated a calculated and cold-blooded approach to murder, with Miranda and Elliot executing their scheme with a disturbing level of detail and coordination. According to police, the Barbours initially denied even knowing LaFerrara, but police traced the last call from LaFerrara's phone to Miranda's phone. As the investigation developed, the couple's stories allegedly changed from Miranda's story of self-defense to a mutual confession to premeditated murder. The killing allegedly was a thrill killing, timed for 3 weeks after the couple's wedding. police have said. Miranda Barbour, 19, and Alit Barbour, 22, pled not guilty to first-degree murder charges that carried a possible death penalty upon conviction. Both plead out to second-degree murder in 2015 and sentenced to life in prison.
The death penalty was on the cards. They both pled guilty to second-degree murder, also to the charges of aggravated assault, robbery, and possession of an instrument of crime, and so the death penalty was now off the cards. They both got life without the possibility of parole.
After Miranda Barbour confessed to the murder of Troy LaFerrara and claimed to be a serial killer with more than 20 victims, further investigations were conducted to verify the accuracy of her statements.
Authorities in California, North Carolina, Alaska, and Pennsylvania have already started looking for any evidence to verify those chilling claims.
Our investigators have been in contact with law enforcement officers from other states and with the FBI.
However, the investigations did not uncover any credible evidence supporting her claims of being a serial killer. Given the serious nature of Miranda's confession, the FBI became involved in the case. They undertook efforts to find any evidence of additional crimes committed by Miranda, but their search yielded no concrete results. The police had access to CCTV footage that clearly showed Miranda, Elliot, and Troy inside the car during the time of the murder. This footage served as crucial evidence in the case and confirmed the events that took place that night. Elliot Barbour, Miranda's husband, was also questioned extensively. While he confessed to the murder of Troy LaFerrara, he did not provide any credible information about Miranda being a serial killer with multiple victims. Elliot's confession focused solely on the planned murder of Troy. Psychologists delved into Miranda's past, particularly her history of abuse by her Uncle Richard. They explored whether Miranda's confessions were a result of coping mechanisms, trauma, or a potential dissociative disorder. However, the investigations did not uncover any evidence of her involvement in multiple murders. Despite Miranda's detailed confessions and media attention, there was a lack of corroborating evidence for her claims. No bodies or crime scenes matching her descriptions were found during the investigations. In the end, Miranda Barbour was not convicted of any additional murders, and her confessions about being a serial killer were widely discredited. The case underscored the importance of thoroughly investigating claims made by individuals, especially when they involve serious crimes and have the potential to capture public attention. Do you believe justice was served? Share your opinions in the comments section and invite others to join the discussion.